Hi, Paisley here. Thanks for joining me. For this practice, you're going to want either a bath towel or a long rectangular blanket. I'm here with Oliver, my foster dog at the moment. When we begin, we're going to lie down and you're going to roll that bath towel or blanket up. So it's kind of a long, skinny roll. And then if you'd like, you could use a bolster for this and have that so that one end is higher than the other. You're going to sit in front of it. You could also just do this lying flat on the floor. And you're going to bring the soles of your feet together. Once you have the soles of your feet together, take that long roll over the tops of your feet and tuck the ends under your knee area. You might bring it in a little narrower, closer to the mid-thigh. And then go ahead and lie yourself back, either all the way on the floor or on your prop. Hi, sweet boy. And if for any reason you're feeling like you need a little bit more support, just put something under your head so that you feel like it's easy for you to relax. And we're going to be here for a few moments, just allowing the lower body to receive this. Hi, honey. Thank you. I'm sure you guys can hear that tongue licking. This is new for him to be giving kisses, so a lot of times we get dogs that have had some trauma or hardship, just like many of us humans. And I just want to remind all of us, thank you, Oliver, that it's good to just go slow, to just take your time. So that's what we're doing for the body right now. Just like we do with these foster dogs, when they come, they don't often want anything to do with us because they've been treated poorly by other humans. And let's give our body that same kind of care where we're just patient with it. Like, it's going to take however long it takes to let go. I'm getting a really sweet dog hug right now. I hope you guys have pets and they're coming to play with you on your mat right now. It's so sweet. So be respectful to your body. Your body has been through a lot. Yeah, I love you too. Okay, go to your place, honey. Your body has been through a lot, and even if you haven't experienced any physical or emotional trauma, and if you haven't, congratulations. Your body goes through a lot in a day. Like, it sits in a chair, it goes for runs, it has hard conversations. So treat it like you would a sweet animal. Just give it some time until it begins to relax. Just let your mind wander if it's wandering, and the thoughts can go the same way they came. Let's take 3 sighing exhales. And with these last 2, let your weight just be heavy on your prop or on the floor. Back of the body just really trying to drop down to the earth, just cradled by the mother of all the mothers. And then if your eyes are closed, just start to blink your eyes open. And often I say just to roll to the side, and you can do that, but if you're inclined, you can kind of wedge your elbows back, do a little abdominal contraction, lift the head, and then start to push with the elbows or hands and sit up. You're gonna just leave your legs right where they are. Ollie, come here, sweetie. And you can just keep the support as it is. And we're now in Baddha Konasana, the bound ankle pose upright, just sitting and allowing gravity to release the hips and the groins, the thighs down, just letting that support stay under the outer knees. Just a few more breaths. There's no rush at all. And recovering from a busy day or trauma, doesn't matter. It's going to take however long it takes. So just little by little, staying in the window of tolerance and what you can manage. From here, you're going to release one knee over toward the other out of the pose and just push the prop, the blanket off to the side. And then you're going to turn on your mat. If you have these other props, they might be useful here. And we're going to just rock the feet back to a squat. And you can rest, if you have props in front of you, you can rest your forearms on those or your head. You could grab the block and put that under your head. If you don't have props, you can grab either side of your sticky mat and kind of pull forward, and that might kind of counterbalance you to be able to stay here for a little bit longer. And if this is really difficult for your knees, you can also, you could take the prop, build it up, a chair would even work, under your behind so that you can take the strain off your knees. I'm going to show that one here. And then you would just reach forward between your legs and let the head release forward. Just a few more breaths in whatever version you're doing. And walk yourself back to upright. Let the head and the vision recover to the upright position. So this practice is about moving nice and slow, no rush at all. And when you're ready to move, you're going to lift your hips and drop the head down in a forward fold. Now, if you have the props to do it, it's sometimes really nice to support the top of your head. So that might look like a block with some things stacked on top of it, or 2 blocks, or a chair. And what you're aiming for is that it's not your forehead, it's like your hairline or your crown that is resting on the prop, and it's resting in such a way where you feel like you're not straining to reach the prop, but nor is it jamming your neck back up into your shoulders. Try to straighten the legs, as long as that's not too strenuous for you. And then relax the shoulders. Couple more breaths. Just trying to really kind of surrender the weight of the head, especially if you have a prop, into that support. It's to learn how to let yourself be supported. Okay, we're going to go back where we came from. So just go slow and squat again. And remember, you can do this sitting with your head supported, or nothing under your hips, no support. Just work out a way where you can go into malasana. And not all hips squat easily, not all knees squat easily, so don't worry if it's hard for you. I don't want you to think that you need to look like me or some other picture of squatting. But what we do want to create is the ability for the hips to relax down, the heels to drop toward or onto the floor, and a sense of kind of releasing the torso over. And then you can start to lift your head up. And if you do still have these props, like I've got a block, I've got all kind of stuff on my mat, just move those to the side. And go ahead and stand on your mat. And you're gonna just stand toward the front. And then with your left foot, you're gonna take a long step back. So you can see this distance is maybe like 4 feet, maybe 4 to 5, something like that. And right now, I want you to put your feet wide enough that they're like, it's like if you were on skis, even if you don't ski, pretend. Just, they're not on a tightrope. Look, if you're not sure, you wanna have them a little bit apart for this. It'll be easier for the balance. And then we're doing what we can to point our hip bones forward, so not over to the left. And then, with the back foot, you're gonna lift your heel, so you're up on the ball of your foot. And that's gonna allow you to readjust your hips to be in a more supported, neutral position. So forward. And a little bit of kind of drawing the tail scooped under and the spine lifting up. And we're gonna begin a little bit of a pulsation, keeping that heel up, hands going wherever you want. I'm gonna just hold them in front of my low belly. We're gonna bend into the front leg and push into the back heel. And then we're gonna kind of suck ourselves back up to straight legs and more onto the tippy toes of the left foot. So you're pushing out and down, out into the legs, down into that right knee and foot, and then drawing the energy back up through the core as you rise towards straight legs. Let's do that one more time. So pushing out into the support of the ground, and then pulling her vibrant energy up into you, all the way up to the crown, and then offering that thanks for the support as you drop back down, this time staying in the lunge. Begin to reach the left heel toward the ground. I feel a dog nose back there somewhere. So we're forming a version of Warrior One here. So the back heel is cutting in a little bit of a diagonal to find the ground within reason, so that the hips are not turning way left, but they might not be quite as forward as before. And then we're gonna lean the chest just a tiny bit forward and try to lengthen the back line from that left heel up through the kidney area all the way to the top of the head. And then keeping all that fullness in the back body, bend the right leg a little bit more. Breathe some fullness, some space into the waist. Don't worry about bringing the torso upright, just let it stay as is. Point your tailbone down, at least toward the left heel, if not forward towards the spot between your feet on the floor. And then you're gonna start to lift up, straightening your front leg again. And this time you're gonna turn to the left, and my back's gonna be to you to do that. And then once you face the left, you're gonna squat back toward the left side, and you're gonna lift the ball of the right foot. And as you come over there, this is where, again, you're gonna learn about how your knees are gonna handle it. So if your knees allow, you could sit all the way onto your heel and just really lift up the ball of the right foot. Now, if that does not work for you, I'm gonna just turn around so I can show you the other version. So if that shape is not working for you, then you can either put that knee down and stand on your knee and kind of lean in to the side so you get this inner thigh stretch. Or you might even be able to sit down so that you're getting some stretch in the inner leg there on the straight leg. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the way I was, and we're gonna stay just for a little tiny bit longer, and you're just gonna point out through that right foot and then flex, and you're just gonna move that whole line, hi sweetheart, back and forth. And then ultimately you are gonna sit down, everybody's gonna sit down, and we're gonna tuck that left foot underneath and bring the right one over. So I'm gonna face you for this, and I'm not mirroring you, so you have the right knee up and the left knee down, and if your knee doesn't like that, just straighten the bottom leg out. Right now, let your right sit bone drop toward the floor. Right, so often, especially if we have had some trauma or some challenging days, there's a feeling of like everything is pulling up, and this tendency like we're trying to escape. We're hyper vigilant, ready to run to the door at any moment. And what we're trying here is to just settle the weight down and release, especially right now, into the right hip. And if it's a challenge for you, if you have had some trauma in your life and you do tend on that hypervigilant, hyper side of things, hyper arousal, just start to notice in your environment anything that feels soothing or safe to you. Like Ollie does some funny sniffy licky things you may have noticed already, and to me that's a sweet kind of soothing thing. Pets are often soothing to me. But I also have a crystal that's hanging in the window, a prism. So you can train yourself to start to see things that help you feel a little more regulated. Now that you've given that time, that slow down time, you're gonna start to pull your right knee a little more upright if you can, so that a little more weight goes to the inner edge of your foot. And then if body shape can affect this pose, so if you're feeling that your belly and your leg are kind of impacting your ability to bring the knee upright, just uncross your right foot so that it's farther to the right, not crossing over to the left, and then you'll have more space for your belly. So we're going to begin to twist toward the right. And I'm really mostly interested in the anchoring. So right hip anchoring down, but also you being able to anchor yourself in this environment, calming in this environment, not worrying about something else. So if you overdo it, you will come unhinged, unanchored. And if you kind of pull on the knee, if you pull that knee upright rather than just forcing the twist, you'll start to get a stretch into some of those deep outer hip rotators and outer thigh. Okay, unravel that twist, and you're gonna step your weight. You can lean to the left, lift your hips, and step your weight up onto that right foot to get the left knee out. And then once you feel ready to do it, just stand again. We'll set up for the whole sequence on the second side. So that means the right leg is taking that long step back, 4 to 5 feet. We're taking the hip bones and we're turning them forward towards the front of the mat. You're gonna lift your heel to assist that. That'll help you rotate right hip forward. Your heel will kind of spin out when you do that. You're on the ball of your right foot right now. And you're just slowing down enough that you're creating stability. Feet wide enough, like the ski alignment that I mentioned before, will help with that. And so we're teaching ourselves, right? Like there's wobbling happening, there's balance going on right now. This side is harder for me. can you stay regulated even though it's kind of dysregulating? Like it's wobbly. Can you soften your eyes and stay calm? And maybe even begin to move. Bend the front leg, push through the right heel, and then kind of pull, almost like you're going to pull your feet together to rise back up to straight legs. And you're doing this energetically. You're bending the front leg and pushing through the right heel and just offering some grounded calm to the earth. And then you're drawing in and up, and you're receiving the protection and support that has been there for you. And then you exhale, push through right heel, out through front knee. And then inhale, draw in and up, right through the crown, right the way through the crown. And we're going to go again, but we're going to stay in the lunge. So exhale. Thank you, Mother Earth, for your support. Holding the lunge. Begin to reach through the right heel just ever so slowly. It might turn in a little until it can find the ground. Finding that middle point where the right hip is forward enough, but not being forced or cause pain. Lean the torso slightly forward. Find a place for your hands that is restful and easy. And make length from the right heel to the crown. And then this is where you have to be patient. And emotion, it might begin to arise for you. And building resilience means that you're becoming a strong enough container to hold space for that emotion. You don't have to fix it. But those undulating waves in the nervous system are starting to slow down. It's not such big spikes of hyper-arousal, fight or flight, and hypo-arousal of like hiding and collapsing. Just slowing things down and smoothing out those ripples. So stay with it a little longer. Just commit to right heel. Seeing if you can get some openness in the chain all the way through the right side, even though you're leaning forward. Okay, we're going to turn to the right and straighten the front leg. The back foot turns. And then we're leaning into that right leg. So again, I'm not mirroring you. Bend the right leg a lot. Lift the ball of the left foot and pivot so the toes go toward the sky. And then you're going to kind of squat down. And remember that if your knee doesn't like this, you can sit on the floor or drop your knee and be upright. We're aiming to stretch the inner left leg here. And that may mean you have to orient your torso differently, especially if you aren't in this knee position. You might look different than me. Well, you do look different than me, but the pose might be shaped different than my pose. And then at some point, we're going to just move the outstretched foot. We're going to point, and we're letting kind of the whole chain go with that, and then we're pulling back. And there's a little bit of a rocking that happens. Just a few times, pointing, flexing, feeling what that feels like. And then we're going to sit, and we're taking this right knee down, and the left leg up and across. So I'm going to turn and face you again for that. So remember, there's so many options, and I really want you to do the one that works for your body. If this upright position is no go, you can move your foot to the left so there's more room for your belly. Like that's the one I would suggest if you're pregnant also, or if you've eaten or you have menstrual cramps, or you just have a bigger shape. Your belly is a little bigger than mine. You can also straighten the bottom leg. That's another choice. Now, give time. You've already been there a little bit while I was talking, for that left hip to ground. And it might take a while, right? So, again, the example of the dog, you may have noticed while we were practicing that Oliver kind of paced around, and then he went to the door and he sat at the door and stared at the door, And then he came over here and he stared awkwardly at the corner. He does that a lot, but you know, the mind does that, right? It paces in a loop and it's going to go and try to figure out like, well, what can I do with myself? I feel weird and agitated. We're not really that different. So you just let that happen. If your mind is like off in some tangent, just so be it. Your body is taking however long it takes while your mind is busy with that. And periodically just checking in, left hip down, relax down. And then eventually you start to pull the knee upright so that you start having a little more stretch on the outer hip. And you can add the twist, but I'm less pushing that you twist today and more that you stay anchored in your own body. That if your mind is pacing like Oliver was pacing, or if you notice that you're hyper-vigilant, hyper-aroused, that you find a way to soothe. Licking is one of the ways he does it. I don't suggest that you do that, but you can find something in your environment that's beautiful or soothing, or that helps you feel supported and relaxed. Okay, untwist, and this time we're just going to stay here. So you're going to turn on your mat and stretch your legs straight out. And if you do have props around like I do, like a bolster, here's one, or a block, or some combination thereof, put that over your legs. If it's a block, you can go between your legs, and then lean forward and see if you can put your head on that support. So you want it high enough that your neck can relax, but not so high that it's kind of holding you out of that edge of your own stretch. If this is really, if forward folding is really hard for you with straight legs, you could either bend your knees a little bit, or you could lift your hips up onto something. So I'm going to show you a bent leg version with a block. So here's a way that would work if you're feeling real tight in your legs. You would sit up on the lift, block between the knees, slightly bend your knees, put your hands, maybe soft fists or wrists under your knees, fold forward. And then just begin to come on up to sit. When you get to a seated position, legs out straight or cross-legged, just sit upright for a moment. And you can keep your eyes open, like you're gazing out at the ocean. I would suggest that one if you tend towards feeling unsafe. Soft eyes, but slightly open so you know you can still see. But if you do feel safe, if you're in an environment that is secure, maybe you close your eyes and you feel your sit bones on the floor or whatever you're sitting on. And just take another moment to inhabit your body in this new way that you've never done before. Every day, it's a new moment, a new opportunity. You're welcome to leave your hands where they are, or perhaps to place one or both over the heart. Onward, courageous heart. continuing to show up, to be open or to try to be open, to trust or try to trust. Even through the hardship that you've experienced. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out through your mouth. May your road be clear, your way be light, and may you have the courage to continue. Thank you so much for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.